What's going on, everybody? Welcome to After Prison Show. And today I want to talk to you guys about what happens when you get released from prison and then find out that you're still wanted. You know, this may sound crazy, but this is something that happens from time to time. I mean, prison guards aren't always perfect. And though at times certain guards might not seem like they are, all prison guards are human. Mistakes are made. And sometimes prisoners end up getting released who still have time left to serve. And in fact, it actually happened to me one time. I've got two prison stories that relate to exactly this topic right here. I'm gonna share those with you in this video. But there's actually a bigger story in the news right now about a guy getting released from prison who still had time left to serve that I wanna share with you guys first. So it's with all of that being mentioned that what do you say we go ahead and die? Hold on, one more time. Dive head first into this video. Boy, I about choked on my tongue right there. Folks, the story that I'm getting ready to share with you guys first, it's pretty crazy. Involving a guy who was released from prison back in 2006 and has been free now for over 13 years. Meet Demetrius Anderson, who back in 2006 was released from a Connecticut state prison. Now, back when this guy first got in trouble, and I think what he originally got in trouble for dealt with either counterfeit money, getting caught with it, or manufacturing it himself. But back when this guy did get in trouble, he not only had state charges, he also had federal charges as well. So when he got sentenced, he would end up with state time and federal time. And it was in 2006 when this guy was being released, he wasn't really sure if he still had federal time to serve. And if he did, he knew that the feds were going to be waiting right there outside of those prison gates to pick him up and then take him straight to federal prison to serve whatever remaining time he had left to serve for the feds. And one thing that I've personally learned throughout all of the many times that I've been in trouble is that the state and federal system, they don't usually I've never heard of this happening, run time concurrent. Meaning that any time that you serve for the state is also going to be part of you serving that time for the feds as well. All of that time ends up being combined is the easiest way to say it. The state and the feds, they never do that. I've never heard of that happening. If you've heard of that happening, please comment and let me know, but I ain't never heard of that. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person who's ever served time who's never heard of this as well. And I'm pretty sure Demetrius Anderson, while serving the time that he was in the state system, was hearing this exact same thing the entire time that he was locked up. Boy, you got you some state and federal time. You know they don't run that concurrent. You know they don't combine that time. As soon as you get released from the state, they gonna be there to pick you up. The feds is gonna get theirs. You don't think the feds gonna get theirs? You ain't going home. Boy, I'm trying to tell you, the feds, they definitely get theirs. They ain't gonna just let you get a 2-for-1. There ain't no such thing as a 2-for-1 unless you snitching. If you snitching, you can get you a 2-for-1. Matter of fact, you know anybody? I'm saying unless you Tekashi 6ix9ine, there ain't no such thing as them combining that time. You definitely about to have to serve that fed time. They don't never do that. They never run that time together. I mean, I'm just giving it to you guys completely 100 right here. I'm pretty sure Demetrius Anderson knew that there was a damn good chance the feds were gonna be there when he got released to pick him up to go serve that time that he owed to them. Because again, they definitely ain't doing no 2-for-1s unless you're some sort of Tekashi 6ix9ine type prisoner. And then in them cases, I'm sure it's different strokes for different folks, and bada bing, bada boom, you got you a deal. But that release date in 2006 would roll around for old Demetrius, and he would walk out of them gates, and guess what? The feds, though, they weren't there. And this man walked free. Now, to be absolutely fair to Mr. Anderson, boy, that's the dude from the Matrix, ain't it? Mr. Anderson. To be absolutely fair to this guy, maybe he didn't know. And I imagine that when he did walk free and saw that nobody was there to pick him up and he was a free man, that he automatically assumed, and the story says that he did, that the feds did run that time concurrent with the state, which again, never happens. We'll go ahead and fast forward 13 entire years, all the way up until last week. When Mr. Anderson was getting ready for work, he's got him a good job now. This man's involved in the church. In 13 years, this man has not been in any trouble whatsoever. And then all of a sudden last week, he's getting ready for work. He hears a knock at his door, opens his door, and then boom, 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 boom. I don't really think they beat him up, but 8 U.S. Marshals were at his door, slammed him up against his refrigerator and threw the cuffs on him, telling him that he still owed a 16-month federal prison sentence and that they messed up. They made a government clerical error. And that was the reason why the feds weren't there. They forgot about him. Bob, did you make sure you went and picked up Demetrius? You forgot. Bob! We're prison guards. We don't make mistakes. We are prison guards. We are more than human. We're superheroes. They made a mistake, forgot to pick this guy up, and just now remembered it 13 years later. Bob, it has been 13 years. You still didn't pick him up. We have made a big mistake. It took an internal audit, which is something that I've never heard about pertaining to anything other than money. But I guess this also pertains to prison sentences as well. An internal audit by the Federal Bureau of Prisons to realize that Mr. Demetrius Anderson still owed them a 16-month sentence. And last week, 8 U.S. Marshals went and picked him up. And I don't know what exactly took place after that, but all I know is the story says he would eventually have to sign a warrant saying that he realizes he still owes this 16 months. And there's a lot of controversy surrounding this story right now because, this guy's been home for over 13 years. And he ain't been nothing short of a productive member out here in society. So a lot of people are saying, if there was some sort of a clerical error, that ain't his fault. He shouldn't have to serve that time. This man has done nothing short of rebuild his life out here since he got released. It's not his fault that they forgot to pick him up. It's Bob's fault. And the story also says that there's talk that the Bureau of Prisons may now credit Anderson for the 16 months under the doctrine of credit for time at liberty, which would have Anderson remain at liberty, which I guess means freedom, for the government's error. Now, mind you, there's only talk of that. There's still the potential that this guy could have to go back and serve this remaining 16 months. And if that ends up being the case, if they don't give him the credit for all of the time that he's already been out here and doing the right thing because they messed up, then the only thing left that could save him from having to serve that 16 months in prison is a presidential pardon. And to be completely honest with you, I have never heard of anyone that I know personally getting one of those things, but I imagine that ain't easy to get. It might help you having a high profile case such as what this guy Demetrius Anderson does have. So, I truly hope that he does get that. And I ask all of you out there, what do you think about this? Do you think this guy should have to go back and serve this time? He owes this time. He should have to serve that time. I imagine some people probably might think that, but I can imagine the majority of you out there are probably going to think like me. Forget about it. Boy, I got that soprano hairstyle going on right now looking like Philly D. Hey, forget about it. But again, let me know what you guys think about this story. Now, moving on, I told you guys at the beginning of this, I got 2 prison stories that relate to this pretty much right here exactly. And before I get into the both of these, I want to also give you guys a little more background, a little more backstory as to what it's like getting released. Do you know, just as great as getting released from prison is, it's the greatest day that you'll ever spend in prison. Your release date. The best day you'll ever be locked up is that day that you know you're going home. But just as great of a day as that's going to be, no matter what the situation is, that's also going to be one of the scariest days as well. Because it entails quite a bit getting from that prison bunk where you're going to wake up that morning sitting there stressed out. Boy, I hope I get out here and do the right thing. I got to get out of here first, though. I'm constipated. I ain't used the bathroom in 4 weeks. I got to get free. It entails quite a bit on your release date, getting from that prison bunk out past those front gates and back into the free world. And one major thing that's going to be super scary is going to be going through getting processed out. And I can assure you, everyone who has ever served time, I don't care how much time you served, if you've only served 1 day, this probably doesn't pertain to you, but to anybody else who's ever served time, I can guarantee you that on their release date, they've thought about this. Or maybe they haven't. Maybe it's only me and I'm just super paranoid. I probably need me some Prozac. But I would like to imagine there's more people than just me who have thought about as they're getting processed out. Oh God, please do not let nothing else pop up. Please do not let nothing else pop up. I know I've done bad. I've done so much bad stuff. So much bad stuff that I've never gotten caught for. I'm not talking to you, guard. I'm not making any type of Tekashi 6ix9ine confession. I'm having a conversation with myself. I know there's quite a few people who can relate to this, getting released from either jail or prison and praying for Jesus that nothing else pops up because you done did a lot of things that you ain't never get caught for. I know I did. I'm not about to sit here and tell y'all about it. This ain't the before Tekashi 6ix9ine show. This is After Prison show. And After Prison is where we're staying. But I wanted to give you guys that little bit of insight right there. Just as great as getting released is going to be, it's also going to be a scary experience as well until you're back out into the free world. And then that's a whole different can of worms in terms of scary. Free world's like life on Mars at this point, especially after you served you a couple of years. Things change. But this first story that I want to share with you guys took place many years ago. I think it was back in like 2005, 2006. I was locked up in Virginia Beach for my very first ever drug charge. And I knew that there was a damn good chance that I could get a first-time offender status for drugs because I took full responsibility for what I got caught with. Yes, that was mine. Yes, I made a mistake. God, I hope I get this first-time offender status. Well, I would. The only problem with that is I'd already been in trouble quite a bit prior to this. And it doesn't even really make no sense that you could get a first-time offender status for drugs, but yet I was already a convicted felon for grand larceny. And in fact, I was on probation for it as well, knowing that when I got arrested with these drugs back in 2005 or 2006, I would then be facing my third probation violation, which would actually end up being what sent me to prison for the very first time. Well, I get locked up for this drug charge, and I got this lawyer. He comes to court and he tells me, hey, look, this is your first drug charge. You can go ahead and plead guilty to first-time offender status for drugs. You've been locked up now for like 2 months. We're gonna get you time served. Now, the crazy thing about this is I can remember as my lawyer was telling me, hey, look, plead guilty, first-time offender status. I'm telling him, I said, hey, look, man, I'm on probation in another city. Hey, shh. Folks, mind you, I had a court-appointed lawyer, but this dude was better than Jose Baez. This guy was good. He told me, shh, that's in another city. And you need to be found guilty here first before they can issue that violation. And on that same day, when you're gonna plead guilty, you should get released before that violation catches you. That could take 2 or 3 days, maybe even a week before they actually get that thing sent out. Again, folks, mind you, it was a lawyer who was telling me this. Wow, I kind of sound like Tekashi 6ix9ine right now. Anyways, I ended up pleading guilty. I went through the court proceeding. That ended up being the craziest experience. I've shared that story here before. I won't bore you guys with the details. It almost didn't work out for me. The girlfriend that I had at the time, she was nodding out on dope. Oh, God, I'm in jail on a drug charge. How you come to court high? Just don't look good for me. I pled guilty. Slap on the wrist. The judge almost couldn't believe it. Almost didn't even go for this because of the girl sitting in the background. They take me back to the jail. 1 hour passes, 2 hours, 5 hours. I haven't been released yet. Has everything that the Jose Baez prodigy told me been a lie? Am I not gonna get released? Has that violation caught me? I mean, all this sounded good when this lawyer was telling me this, but what if it's not true? And everybody is telling me that exact same thing. Boy, you let that lawyer tell you that bullshit right there. You know they gonna catch you. They're not gonna release you. Why you pack up all your stuff and give away what little that you had? You don't even make commissary. You're in here tattooing to survive. You better get your tattooing kit out. I thought you told me you done time before. That sounds like something an inmate would say. Oh, you are an inmate. Yeah, I can tell. You believe what that court-appointed lawyer told you? And you wonder why he a court-appointed lawyer. You believe that. You are stupid. Stupid, you dumb. I was feeling pretty dumb. I was. Was it all a lie? That's all I kept thinking about. Why did that girl come to court high? She must have wanted to see me go to prison. It might have been her plan, actually. 10 o'clock would roll around, I'm butt-ball naked back in the shower. And if I can remember correctly, I think I was shedding some tears. So you cry in the shower, that way nobody knows that you're crying. Hey, Joe, why your eyes wet? Why your eyes all red and puffy and wet? I'm in the shower! I got soap in my eyes! 10 o'clock would roll around, I was in that shower, and then all of a sudden I heard it. Guerrero! Pack your stuff. And y'all ain't even believe that lawyer. I believe the lawyer. I'm going home, y'all. Y'all staying in here. Here, have my cup. Yeah. But I wasn't out of the woods yet, even though I was happy to hear that they were calling my name. That doesn't mean anything. Because you see, the final thing you do before you get released is go through intake. Leaving the housing unit's all fine and dandy. But walking that green mile down to intake, not knowing if you're truly gonna get released. They could be packing me up and taking me to the city where I was on probation at. I get down to intake. They type my name in. Guerrero! What are you, Filipino? It really doesn't take but a GED to be a guard, does it? How does Guerrero sound like anything Filipino? Folks, those 2 seconds that they type on that computer seem like an eternity. Okay, you're good. Yes. I am 1 step closer to getting released, but there's still one final thing they gotta do. They do fingerprints. You gotta put your finger in this little thing, and they run those prints. And I did that, and nothing came up. I was free. That Jose Baez protege knew exactly what he was talking about, and I was free. I was free. I would only remain free for 3 days before I found out that I had a warrant out for my arrest, and like any good Samaritan would do, once I found out I had a warrant out for my arrest, I did exactly what you know I should have done. I ran. I ran like the wind. I was gone with it. Catch me if you can. I'm not turning myself in. I'm going to enjoy this. This is my third violation too. I know I'm going to prison. And I would end up remaining free for like 2 months before they caught me and sent me to prison for the first time. It wouldn't be the last. There's one final story I want to share with you guys in this video, and this one took place back in, like 2002. Joe was a young little whippersnapper, all sorts of full of trouble. I was worse than anything that you ever seen on Dr. Phil or Beyond Scared Straight. There weren't no reaching me. And during this time, this would be just as I was getting released after serving my very first somewhat long-term jail stay. I had just served 15 months between 2 different jails, and I was getting released. Boy, I was so happy. My first time doing any sort of somewhat real time. I was young. I was ready to get back out there. I knew all the ladies was going to be all about me. I also had a pen pal, my very first one, and I will never forget her. I don't remember her name, though, which is sad because I just said I'd never forget her. How can I not remember her name? But, you know, I got a nickname for her, and forgive me, but I call her 5-gallon Jughead. Because that's exactly what she looked like. Her head was as big as a 5-gallon Gatorade water cooler. I can't remember how I got this pen pal. I think somebody put me on to this chick. I remember the first time that she came and seen me. I guesstimated her weight at about 454 pounds. A 454 big block is another thing that I used to call her. But she was beautiful. And she was a really sweet young lady. Even if she had to turn sideways. Hey, turn sideways for me. Now, I ain't trying to look at you. I'm just trying to help you get into the visitation booth. There you go. There you go. Even if she had to turn sideways to come and see me. And again, I can't remember who put me on to this chick. I think it was some sort of a friend that I had while locked up, who after I saw this chick for the very first time, I wanted to fight this dude. I'm putting my shoes on. What you doing? And you know why I'm putting my shoes on too. I just came back from visit. Put your shoes on. Yeah, they started calling me Harpoon Larry after that very first visit. I just made that up. But that was good, right? Boy, Joe, you full of the jokes today. I know I'm being mean describing this chick, but she really was a sweetheart. I remember the first letter that she wrote me. Look, she asked me the craziest question anybody's ever asked me before. I'll never forget this either. In the first letter, which was written like chicken scratch to say it the nicest. You know, I thought all women had nice handwriting. You watch this chick write, it almost looked like she wrote this letter in the back of a Ford F-250. Going off-road down a mountain. Joe, how are you? But I think it was in that first letter she asked me a question, and I'll never forget this. She asked me, and you know, I understand this too. If you're trying to get to know somebody, this is a question you would ask. It makes perfect sense. She asked me what my favorite color crayon was. We were getting to know each other. It was a valid question. But long story short, the reason I bring this chick up is because she plays a crucial part in this story. And she's also somebody that as I was getting released, you know, I feel horrible for saying this, but this is the truth. And this is how it goes a lot of times. I had no intentions whatsoever of seeing this chick when I got released. Yeah, I do get released next week. Oh my God, of course. Of course we could go to Golden Corral. Yes. Should we call ahead first? Yeah, I had no intentions of ever seeing this chick. I didn't. But maybe karma, look, I'm a big believer in karma, okay? And I believe that what you put out into the world, you get it back. And because I had no intentions of seeing this chick, and because I was lying to her, and because back when I was younger, I was a horrible person. Hands down, even though I got my hands up, I was a horrible person. And karma would strike. For one of the many times that it has in my life, karma would strike. I was getting released. You couldn't tell me nothing. I had a little do-rag on. I didn't, but that's the kind of stuff I was on. You know, I was getting released. I was afraid. Hey, God, I'm out of here, God. Peace, sayonara. See you the next time. You know I'm going to be back in a week. Couldn't tell me nothing. I was getting released. Made it down to booking, where they do the outtake. And I did not make it past the computer. Guerrero, you still got a warrant. You ain't going nowhere. What? A warrant? A warrant. I've been in here for 15 months. A warrant. I got to get out of here. What are y'all doing to me? Why are you doing this to me? Why? Verbatim, that was probably my reaction. It is the sickest feeling in the world on your release date. Finding out that you still are wanted, that you still have time left to serve, that you still have cases that you're responsible for that need to be fulfilled. The obligation is still there for you to fulfill those. And why that's so sickening and so crazy and such a scary thing is because it's something that could really happen. And it's something that is supposed to get taken care of while you're locked up. But this one didn't. This one didn't. It was a driving charge. Driving on suspended for like the second or third time. Probably the second time because I was really young back then. I've got 6 of them all together before I got my license back. This is probably my second one. Driving on a suspended or revoked license, I believe is what it is. I had a warrant out for my arrest in another city. This was something that could have easily been taken care of, and I had a failure to appear. I was supposed to go to court, and they never transported me. It was Bob's fault. Bob! They didn't fire you. You're a horrible guard. Folks, I was devastated. I had just done the most time that I'd ever done in my life, and to find out that I still got a warrant out for my arrest, I was inconsolable. It's embarrassing to admit that. I had nobody out there at all. In fact, as I was getting released, nobody was there to pick me up. Nobody. I was gonna walk home. I told the girl, 5-gallon Gatorade Jughead, I told her that I got released the next day. That way she'd be there and I'd already be gone. But I was gonna walk. I was gonna walk and I'd find my way. I'd find my way. But now none of that was gonna happen. My family wasn't dealing with me during this time. I had nobody other than this chick who I didn't ever want to see again. You know, I called her and I told her, hey, look, they made a mistake. I'm actually getting released today. Yeah, I know it sounds like I lied. But it's crazy, right? I actually got one additional day of good time. I can be with you. We can be together. We can go to Golden Corral. However, I need you to bond me out. I've got a bond on my release day. $2,500 bond, only needed $250 to get out. She came up there, put that up for me, and I got released. But you know, had it not been for her, I wouldn't have gotten released. I'd have got transferred to another city and had to deal with this thing. And then when I finally went to court to deal with it, you know what the judge told me? The judge said, we apologize for the inconvenience that we have caused you. This is our fault. It is our fault that you were driving without a license, got caught, but yet got locked up with something else, and we did not come and get you and take care of it. This could have all been resolved. The judge literally apologized to me and threw the case out. I have never had that happen, but it did. And as for me and 5-gallon Gatorade Jughead, back then, we did go to Golden Corral. It was delicious. But you know, it just wasn't meant to be. And I didn't know how to break it to this chick. I did not know how to break this off. She had wrote to me, came and saw me, put up $250 for me to get released. When on my release date, I ended up having a warrant. I was still wanted, and I had to bond out. I didn't know how to get out of this situation. So I did what any red-blooded American young man who has done nothing other than gotten in trouble for most of his life up until that point would do. I sat her down and I said, hey, look, we gotta have a talk. Jail changed me. I just served 15 months. I am a convict now. And I've also realized I'm gay. I can't be with you. Peace! Peace. You see this shirt I'm wearing? You know, that's probably the worst lie that I've ever told to anybody, but you know what? It is what it is. It got the job done. She understood completely. 15 months, you look gay. Hey, look, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you thought about all of this. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day. Peace! And by the way, real quick, you know I was kidding about that last part. I'm not gay. I'm happily married. I love my wife. You know that, right?